Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup. Today we're going to work on some object-oriented programming, testing stuff that we've been working on for the last few sessions. I feel like that stuff has been going well, so we'll continue with that same work. We have one guest here in the Code with Jason meetup today. Welcome, Josh.
Hey.
Hey, thanks for being here. So I'll share my screen and explain what we have. Okay. So Josh, would you happen to have seen any of the videos on this stuff, or is this totally new to you? This word stemming search program that I've been building.
Yeah, I've been following along on the
Okay.
last couple of videos.
Okay. Yeah, so you might be aware kind of where the status is. I actually don't remember, so I have to remind myself exactly where we are with it. First of all, I'm going to run the tests just to make sure that everything's passing right now. And as we can see, everything is passing. And I'm going to look at some of the test files. Okay. So I think this is where we left off. This test shows that, okay, so to zoom out a bit, the overall objective is to create a search program that searches kind of fuzzily, so that even if a word has like a different suffix or different form or something like that, it's still found. And part of that process is first stemming the content that you're going to search. So here we have some stemmed text. It's like a sentence that has been converted into an array and the words have been stemmed. So like jumping has been stemmed to jump, stuff like that. And so we can see here, stemmed word collection dot indices jump, we expect to equal 3 and 9 because jump appears in indices 3 and 9. So that part is working. I think what we want next is we want to say if we have an unstemmed word collection, we want it to do the same thing, to return the indices of those words. So let's go down that path, and I'm going to start with a test. And Josh, if you ever want to stop me or ask a question, or if you have an idea or anything like that, feel free to just interject. But I'm going to go to ChatGPT, and I'm going to say, here's an existing test I have for a search program. Now help me write a test file for a different class, which instead of searching text that's already been stemmed, searches unstemmed text. And before I hit enter, I'm going to make sure that my custom instructions are on. Are you familiar with the custom instructions in ChatGPT, Josh?
Yeah, I've actually copied this one, I think, from the last couple of episodes. I think I've watched you do this, and I haven't been using the custom instructions, but actually finding them quite valuable. This one you've got here.
Okay. Yeah, if anybody's not familiar with this, you can add some instructions that are basically included with every prompt you give. And the most important one that I've included is instructions that ChatGPT should not make assumptions, but it should ask me questions in order to give a better answer. So I don't know if that's going to make it apply to this prompt since I already started it, but looks like it did.
Usually tries to be too helpful otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, what's the name of the new class you want to test? I'm going to say, I don't know. In the spirit of, I have a, I don't know how familiar you might be with this, Josh, but one of my core principles in programming is the conservation of mental labor. I always want to be as mentally lazy as possible. And so that's one of the reasons I really appreciate ChatGPT, is because it allows me to take the mental burden off of myself in a lot of situations and place that mental burden onto ChatGPT. So I'm going to say, I don't know what I want for the class name. You help me with that part.
Mm-hmm.
What methods does it have? I don't know. Do you have specific requirements? It should mirror stemmed word collection. Any libraries? No. Okay, let's see what it comes up with. Okay, I don't care for the name that it chose, unstemmed word collection, because it's like, if you saw this sentence and I asked you like, oh, what's significant about this sentence? You wouldn't say like, oh, it's unstemmed. It's like, no, it's just a sentence.
Yep.
So maybe we'll just call it like, well, we could call it word collection, but that even seems kind of silly. This seems like a passage of text, but I think we might have a class already called passage, and we do, but I don't know that that is incompatible with this. Maybe we'll change passage a bit and we'll kind of redefine it like this. Okay. So everywhere there's unstemmed word collection, I'm going to change it to passage. In the existing passage file, I'm just going to modify like that. Okay, wrong number of arguments. Passage spec line 23, because we don't have an initializer. So I'll add that. Unstemmed text. I'm just going to say text. Run that again. Undefined method indices for passage. So that is coming from here, and I'm noticing that it still says unstemmed word collection, so change that to passage. Okay, and we'll define a method called indices. Okay, and now we're getting like the real failure. It says it expected these certain indices and it didn't find them. So I'm going to, since I changed the test a little bit and I changed the code, I'm going to give these things back to ChatGPT. Oh, and this isn't great. Let's just call it text. Because again, like it's not significant that it's unstemmed. Okay, so I'm going to show it our most recent test code. I'm going to show it our application code. And I'm going to show it the test failures. And I'm going to say, help me make these tests pass. I'll just say that. Okay. Yeah, I've noticed something kind of interesting, Josh. If I just say, help me make these tests pass, it'll write new code rather than making use of our existing code.
Mm.
And this doesn't make sense because this is like duplicative of what we already have. It makes more sense to use the existing code and plug into that. So I'm going to remind ChatGPT that it can make use of our existing code. Remember that you can use our existing code. Okay. Let's see how this does. Oh, okay. Apparently that does make the tests pass. So let's look at this code more closely now and try to understand it. So we say text at each with index map, and we create a stemmed word for each one of those words. Okay. And then indices is words matching query.map index. That makes sense to me. And then words matching. Okay. Oh, but this isn't a rigorous enough test because this should be something different. This should be like the running rabbit jumps fastly. Should probably just say fast because fastly is not a word. And the hopping hare jumps even faster. I want two different forms of the word jumping. This is weird because I thought I started with two forms. Okay, so let me say this. The test for passage should use a passage of text that contains at least two different forms of the same word. For example, jumps and jumping. And again, I'm offloading the mental labor to ChatGPT here because I could come up with my own sentence, but I'd rather have it do it. I guess it just said is jumping.
Is jumping, yeah.
Suppose I could have thought of that myself, but I didn't. Okay, now let's see what happens when we run these. Yeah, unsurprisingly, the test does not pass because the code that ChatGPT wrote for us it was only made for that that other test case that wasn't quite as smart as this one. So I'm gonna have a start over with the code, and I'm gonna say, here's my code, here's my test.
Will
Sorry,
the
were you
index
gonna say
change now
something?
as well? Sorry, the expectation of since we've added word is, so will it be 10 rather than 9 for the
Oh, good point.
indices?
Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, and then we'll give it the failure. Say, help me make this pass. And remember that you can use existing code to help. No, it's getting the wrong idea. It doesn't understand that stemmed word already does the stemming. So let's see. Stemmed word. Is this a stemmed word or is this a word that gets stemmed? I'm a little bit confused by the name of this class.
Yeah, it's the collection, isn't it, that does the. Is it the collection that does the stemming?
Oh, no, I think the assumption is that it's already stemmed. Okay. In that case, the name stemmed word makes sense. Okay, so it was not ChatGPT, but it was I who was mistaken. Okay. So in that case, let's do something completely different. I'm going to blow away everything we've done so far. And I'm going to start over by writing a stemmer. Let's say, let's completely change focus and write. Wait a second. I'm sorry. I feel like we already, yeah, okay. We already wrote a stemmer. I'm a little bummed I just deleted everything we did, but I think that's still available in ChatGPT. Okay. I apologize for my confusion. All right, I can get this from here. So there we have passage. And here's the test. Okay. 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 And we want to tell ChatGPT, don't use, like, don't write a new stemmer, just use this one we already have. Don't write a new stemmer. Use this one we already have. I'm giving it the code and the test for the stemmer because maybe the test will give ChatGPT a clearer idea of how the code works. This looks quite similar to the code in stemmed word collection. And so I feel like we want to use stem word collection, not obviously duplicate it. Don't we want to use stemmed word collection, not duplicate its logic? Just, do you know about ChatGPT's context window?
Yeah, I can't remember how many characters it is on the or tokens, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know either. But yeah, in case anybody watching doesn't know, um, the context window is basically like, you might think of it kind of like ChatGPT's short-term memory. It'll only remember the last however much context from what you're talking about. And so if there's something you referred to several prompts ago, it'll forget. So that's why I pasted this back in to kind of remind it in case that had gone out of the context window. Okay. Let's see how this fares. Okay, that apparently makes the tests pass. So let's examine this code and see what we think. Okay, stemmed text equals text.map. Word new.stemmed. Okay. Stemmed word collection. Okay. Indices, stemmed word collection dot indices, word query stemmed. Okay. Any thoughts on this code, Josh?
Feels like the only thing of work that we're doing here is the conversion of the text into the word to pass it into the stemmed word collection. And then obviously the query as well, mapping that to the stemmed version.
Yeah. And at least the handing off of the original text to the stem word collection, to me, it feels a little bit clumsy and a little bit awkward. So maybe we can make that less clumsy and awkward. But perhaps first, since all the tests are passing, maybe let's commit what we have and then we can embark on some refactoring. Okay, so I think what we did was we made passage searchable. Okay. So the first thing I want to get clear on is what stemmed word collection takes as an argument, because I don't exactly remember. It takes some stemmed text. It seems like maybe, okay. So do we want stemmed word collection? It seems like a little bit of a funny way to initialize stemmed word collection. It seems like maybe stemmed word collection should take a collection of stemmed words. Let's try that and see how it feels. So instead of stemmed text, we'll say stemmed words. And then do stemmed words equals stemmed words. And then here in passage, oh, I'm starting to have an idea, I think. But one second. Okay, stemmed words, blah, blah, blah. It seems like maybe this has a chance of working. Let's run the passage spec. Okay, that passes. But now this is like even noisier and maybe even harder to understand.
Each with index was almost like a concern of the stemmed word collection. It's the internal of that, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems really like passage shouldn't have to be concerned with all these details. But let's see. Okay. What do we have to do? We're getting the text, and then in order to search it, we have to stem it. Oh, what if we do something like this? So now the initializer is much dumber. Okay, I'm just going to see if the tests pass, and they don't. Okay, we need to change text from a local variable to an instance variable. Okay, now the tests pass. All right, now let's take stock of what we've just done. So it's a slight improvement, I think, to move this chunk of code from the initializer into a separate method, because the fact that this code is now in a method with a name gives it meaning. You know, whenever I come across an initializer that like does a bunch of stuff, that is maybe not great, because that chunk of code doesn't have a label on it that has meaning. It's just the initializer. And that forces you to say, oh, what does all this stuff do? It doesn't have an abstraction over it. But now this chunk of code at least has this abstraction where I can say, oh, okay, this is apparently the stemmed passage. Having said that, I'm still not satisfied, because this is still kind of a lot of code for one method, in my opinion.
Yeah, the index thing still bothers me there, I think, because it feels like word.new.stemmed should return stemmed word potentially. And then, because similar with this, like there seems to be
Oh, yeah.
word and passage both have the stemmed method. It feels like you'd get a stemmed passage and a stemmed word potentially from those methods.
I think that's a great point. Okay. Okay, interesting. This is maybe a little bit tough because word itself uses stemmed recursively.
Hmm.
So that might present a challenge. I'm not saying that that's like, I'm not saying that that's not a path we should explore. I'm just saying that that might not be a 5-second thing. Um, and in light of the fact that it is not going to be a 5-second thing, maybe we should get the whole test suite passing and then commit and then focus on that part of refactoring. Okay, so unsurprisingly, we now get some failing tests because we kind of changed the way some of the stuff works. So it looks like this is all in stemmed word collection spec. Undefined method value. Okay, stemmed word collection line 16. Okay, so now each stemmed word is an instance of stemmed word. Okay. I am confused. I'll accept any help you're able to offer, Josh. Oh, undefined method value for the string. Okay.
So it's not getting past the initialized maybe isn't getting the right thing, the stemmed word collection.
Oh, right, because we didn't
The
change the
passage.
test. Yeah, so we don't want to pass stemmed word collection the stemmed text. We want to pass it an array of stemmed words. Yes. And how do we do that? We can look to passage for help with that. Okay, this might get a little bit weird, at least temporarily. Okay. Hmm. Okay. So we don't have to do all this stuff we were doing in the other place because we can, I think we can skip this and just do this, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because all of those words are already stemmed, right? The stemmed text is already.
Yeah. And I'm going to do this just so it fits a little better on the screen. Okay, let's see what effect that might have. Okay, that fixes it. Okay, so I'm going to review and commit. I'll just say refactoring. Okay. Now we wanted to clean this up a little.
I wonder if the stemmed word class, like that abstraction there, is less about it being a stemmed word and really about its relation to the passage it's in. Like it's because it's got the index in there. It's part of its. The job of that class really is to identify where that word appears in the passage
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's
or in the collection.
right. Um, yeah, it's not just a stemmed word, it's a stemmed word in the context of a passage. I don't think I want to name the class stemmed word in the context of a passage.
No.
So I wonder if there's something better we can think of. But maybe we can defer that decision for a little bit later because nothing's coming to mind for me immediately, but maybe after we refactor a little bit, we'll have a clearer idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's focus on line 14, I suppose. I think you had a good point about word dot stemmed returning an instance of stemmed word. Okay. And let me remind myself what stemmed word. It has a value and an index. Okay. And what is word all about? It just has a value. Okay, so this is a little bit of a disconnect. Stemmed word has a value and an index, whereas word doesn't know anything about an index. I'm thinking. Okay. Stemmed text equals text. First of all, text maybe shouldn't be called text because it's apparently an array.
Yeah, that's
And that
true.
actually seems funny.
Yeah, it's weird to initialize a passage with an array of text, array of strings.
Yeah. Okay. Just so I don't have to do all the keystrokes, I'm going to say change this to a single string. Let's see if it understands that enough. Yeah, it did understand what I wanted. Okay. And so we don't want, I think what we want is like words equals text dot split. Okay, there's something I didn't do right. Do I have to explicitly say that I'm splitting on a space? No. Oh, I forgot to update text here. Yeah. Okay. And then the name stemmed text is no longer appropriate. Oh, but we have stem text and stem words. All right, things are getting a little bit weird. Okay, all the tests are currently passing. Stemmed text equals words.map. Okay. It almost seems like words should be an array of word objects. Perhaps?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Let's see what happens when we do that. This seems kind of dumb. It's like word dot new word. Oh, it should be, maybe it should say value. Okay. And then of course, words dot map stemmed. We can do it like that. Okay. And then we don't have to, I don't think there's much value in that temp variable there. So we can instead just do words.map stemmed like that. See if the tests still pass. They do. Okay. Now let's take stock of this, see what we think. Stemmed words equals words.map stemmed, each with index, stemmed word.new. Well, here's a thought. Oh, and then this is like vestigial. We don't even need that. We haven't needed that for a long time. I think that seems better, right?
Yeah, it feels better, I think. Um,
I didn't sense a great deal of enthusiasm in your voice, so maybe
I
it's
still,
only a
I
little bit
still,
better.
it is better, I think. It's the, I think stemmed word collection and passage. I'm still not sure the value in those being two different things yet. They feel like they have overlapping concerns, maybe.
Oh, okay. Well, let's come back to that. Okay, I'm making these methods private. And by the way, um, I might be preaching to the choir for you, Josh, but private methods I find are one of the most misunderstood things. The purpose of private methods is so that you know what's safe to refactor. Um, like if something's private, you know it's not being called by anything outside. And so you can change the name of those methods or delete those methods or whatever you want to do, knowing that you're not going to mess up any outside clients. And by outside clients, I just mean other objects in your program. Um, I've heard other answers online like, well, let's see. Sorry, I'm looking for my own post here. I used to come up quite high, but apparently something happened. And oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, yeah. Private methods are for breaking up tasks into smaller parts. It's like you can do that with public methods. Private methods are for removing duplication. Again, you can do that with public methods. Um, oh, and I guess what I wrote here, I forgot what my own blog post said, but in addition to indicating what's safe to refactor, it helps reduce the size of your object's public API. And the less public surface area your object has, the easier your program will probably be to understand because there's fewer things interacting. Anyway, let's review and commit. Okay, no surprises there. Okay, now Josh, you had said something like, stemmed word collection and passage seem to kind of have overlapping areas of concern, something like that.
Yep.
Okay, so let's dig deeper into that. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I could see a case to be made that everything in stemmed word collection could just be moved into passage and everything would be just as good, if not better. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. Especially with the, I'm still on that like index bit in there. If they're separate, it feels like maybe the index is in the stemmed word collection because that's where it's used, maybe. But it also feels like they both just are doing very similar things. So
Well, let's give it a try. Okay. Stemmed words matching query. Um, oh, hang on a second. Maybe that's not the angle we want to come at it from. So stemmed returns a stemmed word collection. Stemmed that indices. You know what? You might think I'm crazy, but I'm tripped up a little bit by this, and so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say stemmed query. Okay. Yeah, I just had to do that because I was finding it too hard to understand what all that stemming business was about. I'm actually going to commit that.
Yeah, there was a lot of words going on there before that just didn't really feel like it
Yeah.
was together.
Okay. Also, side note, stemmed word collection, it's an abstraction that feels very contrived. Um, like a passage is a real thing. Everybody knows what a passage of text is, but stemmed word collection, that's just like we had to come up with that just because there like wasn't a better name, at least that I could think of. Okay, so what is indices doing differently in passage versus stemmed word collection? Stemmed words matching. Yeah, it's not much different at all. Okay, so can we bring over stemmed words matching? And I'm actually even going to bring this over. Okay. And I'm going to say stemmed words matching stemmed query. Um, and I think I can lose this. This becomes that. And let's give it a whirl. Huh, it works. Okay. Well,
We're not using stemmed anymore. That private method on the passage. Is that
oh,
still? Is that?
let's see. Apparently not. Okay. And then we can delete that, but then a bunch of tests are going to fail. Well, at least one test will fail. But we can just delete those two files. Yes. Uninitialized constant stemmed word. I must have made a mistake somewhere. Line 20. Oh, because before we were getting stemmed word through stemmed word collection. Okay. Okay, and of course we lost some tests. We lost some tests just now, but this still covers the same behavior. Like the fact that these tests pass means that those other tests would pass also. Like we're still exercising all the same code. So we didn't actually lose anything, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Let's review and commit. Okay. And now let's take a look at passage and see what we think of it. My first impression is that it's, well, I was going to say it's a little bit large, but now that we delete that stemmed method, it's not that big. Okay. So I like to think of it from the outside in. So kind of at the top level. So the outermost level is where it's used. Like, what does its public API look like? So the public API is that we initialize a passage with some text, and then when we search it, we're asking for the indices of jumps. So that seems easy enough to understand, right?
Yeah, I think the only thing I was wondering there is whether we should indicate that it's like the stemmed indices, but it might be a bit kind of getting a bit too much into the language there around whether it needs to be exactly clear that it's like, I suppose there's indices of like a specific word or indices of the stemmed words. But I don't know if that's useful.
Well, I think that that is a detail that's not relevant to us here.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the point is that we want to match any form of jump, and knowing about the details of that intermediate stem stage, I think doesn't help us unless I'm
Yep.
mistaken.
I think for this model, it's like we're just caring about whether those stemmed indices, right? So we don't need to go verbose on it.
Yeah, and that makes me realize that this language is it has some details that it shouldn't. It should just say when a matching word is found, it returns the indices of the matching words when no matching word is found. Yeah. Okay. And so I imagine myself looking at this and I'm saying, oh, okay, I understand what indices does. How does indices work? And so we go here. Indices is defined as stemmed words matching stemmed query, and then it gets the indices. That's decent. Maybe let's make a mental note that that could be better, but that's decent enough, I think.
Yep.
And then what's stemmed words matching? Whoops. I like to put, well, I was going to move these methods around, but maybe I won't. Okay, stemmed words matching query. Stemmed words dot select, stemmed word dot value equals query. I feel like for consistency, this should say stemmed query. Now there's a naming conflict. Not that it causes a mechanical problem, but like there's a naming conflict between stemmed query here and stemmed query here. And maybe we should actually do this. Stemmed words matching query. Query stemmed word value equals stemmed query query. That makes this much easier to understand, I think.
Yep.
Let's see if it actually works. Okay. Let's commit that. Okay. By the way, side note, I imagine some people might be watching this and they might be thinking, Jason, this is a hell of a lot of refactoring. Is this really necessary or called for? And my heuristic for when to stop refactoring is stop refactoring when you're no longer sure you're making improvements. I have not yet reached that point. You know, every time in this code that I've been refactoring throughout all these sessions, I don't think I've reached the point where I'm no longer sure what I'm doing is an improvement. I've always stopped, either stopped before that point, or if I've gone over that point, I've pulled back. So I wanted to comment about that. And people might think like, oh, well, in a production scenario, we don't have the luxury of like spending all this time refactoring. But it's like, no, this isn't extra time spent. This is an investment to save more time. The whole reason we're doing this is to save time. Okay. So indices is very easily understandable now. Stemmed words matching. I'm happy with that. And then stemmed words, words.map stemmed. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Stemmed query. Okay. I am going to change the order of these because like I think it's a good idea to forefront the essential points in a class and send the incidental details to the background. So stemmed words matching deserves more prominence than these other two methods. I think they were in the exact backwards order they should have been. This is the most important thing. This is less important. This is even less important than that. Okay. Okay. And now, Josh, I feel like we're at the point, tell me if you agree. I think we're at the point where anything more we might do to try to improve this is probably gold plating at this point. And I can't even really think of anything to do to improve this further.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we were searching for something, then we would, yeah, get to gold plating.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, we're at almost an hour, so I'm gonna have us wrap up soon. But maybe let's get a tiny bit started with whatever we think the next thing should be, so that in the next session it's a little bit easier to pick up. So right now we have this this scenario here, and our overall goal was to be able to search the text of the book Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and present, if we search the text for jump, we get back maybe this passage or something like this passage. Right now, all we can search for is a word and then get indices back. I think what we want next is we search for a word and we get part of the passage back. So let's inform ChatGPT of our intentions. Okay. Everything is working now. What I want to do next is make it so that instead of returning just indices when I perform a search, the matched words get returned along with a bit of their context. Let's grab something that's actually a real example. Okay. Example. If I search bright on the following passage, it should return brightened along with, say, the 5 words before brightened and the 5 words after. Write me some tests for this. Contextual indices. Interesting. Okay, apparently I have to wait for it to complete before I can scroll to the right. Okay. I'm just going to copy this into here so I can look at it. Okay. I think contextual indices is going to be far from our best possible choice for the name of this method. but it seems to generally have the right idea regarding functionality. Okay. Well, this is at least enough, I think, to remind us next time we pick this up, what it was that we were doing. Oh, and Sanjeet joined us. 1 second. Okay, welcome, Sanjeet.
Hello, Jason. Hello, Josh.
Hello.
Either you're late or I put the time wrong.
No, he's spot on.
No. I started an hour ago.
Because the clocks have changed in the UK.
I see.
I
When did that happen?
think yesterday night.
Oh, I wondered why there were so few people here.
Yeah. So I suppose clocks move next week for US, right?
That sounds
clocks
about
move?
right.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
I'll
funny.
catch up on the recording. Sorry, guys.
Well, I kind of feel like continuing, so I might keep on going for a little bit.
Oh, okay, of course. Yeah, I will stay on.
Yeah, okay. Well, Josh, I don't know what your appetite is for coding today, but feel free to hang out, of course, and feel free to drop off. I won't be offended, but I think I'm going to continue a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I might be able to hang on for a bit longer. I might have to drop off midway through, so I might go camera off at some point. But
Okay.
yeah, I'll stay on for now.
Okay, so just for your benefit, Sanjeet, we've been working on the same search program. Did you happen to catch any of these most recent videos where I've been building this search?
Yes,
program?
the stemmer. Yeah.
Yeah. So where we have it now, I'm going to stash this so we can look at okay. Yep, more people are joining. This is so funny. This completely explains why so few people joined an hour ago. Hey, Vignesh.
Hey, Jason, sorry, I missed it. I'm in a different time zone altogether, so I just missed it. I'm really sorry.
Oh, no need to apologize. It was my mistake. The time confusion was my mistake. Is this your first time joining a Code with Jason meetup?
Yes, exactly. First time.
Yeah, welcome. And where are you joining from?
I'm joining from Bangalore, India.
It's on my list of places to visit someday. I've been to India, but not Bangalore. I went to Goa about, close to 5 years ago now.
Please, you should visit. I just mentioned it on your tweet also.
Oh, you did? That was you?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I hope I can visit sometime. And yeah, England is on my list too. That's where Sanjeet and Josh are.
Hey guys.
Yeah. Okay. So to catch you up, Sanjeet, and I guess you too, Vignesh, we now have it so we can search a passage of text like the running rabbit jumps fast and the hopping hare is jumping even faster. And when we search for jumps, we get indices of 3 and 10, even though jumps and jumping are different forms of the word jump. And so that's great. But what we want next is, we don't want just indices because that's not a very useful result. We want it to return the word along with some context. And so I asked ChatGPT to write some tests for that. And it did, but I'm not so sure about the quality of the tests it wrote. I think maybe we can do a better job ourselves. So I'm going to say, when we search for jumps, what we want is the word and a little bit of context. So instead of 310, I think what we want is an array that has 2 elements. So I'm going to say this. We want it to include, jumps with some context. Let's say 2 words before jumps and 2 words after. So running rabbit jumps fast and we also expect it to include hare is jumping even faster. Okay, so this is going to cause the test to fail because it's returning this array of numbers, array of indices, instead of the actual words. And actually, I think I made a mistake here because it's called indices. Indices should return the indices. There's something else that should return the actual context. Okay, so when a matching word is found, I'm just going to call it passage.search. It returns the matching words plus some context. Okay, and now I'm going to run this. And of course, we're going to see some failures. Wow, okay. So we're probably getting that because the search method doesn't even exist, right? Okay, so this class passage Sanji probably looks way different. I mean, it definitely looks way different from last time you might have seen it.
Yep, it does.
And we actually completely got rid of the stemmed word collection class, and everything that stemmed word collection used to do, passage now does. And this is all there is to it. It's not very big. Okay, so let's add a method called search. Whoops. Okay, and I'll run the tests again. Okay, expected nil to include blah, blah, blah. So now we have to somehow make it so it takes the indices and returns a word along with some context. So this seems like a good job to offload to ChatGPT. So I'm going to say, here's my test. Here's my code. Here's my failure message. Write the code for passage search in order to make the test pass. Let's see what it does. I don't have really high hopes that it's going to give something that will actually make the test pass, but we'll see. We might be pleasantly surprised. It's kind of a lot of stuff. Whoops. I didn't mean to copy the whole thing. I just meant to copy search. Okay, so it doesn't exactly work. How exactly is it failing? Okay, so this failure message is a little bit hard to read. Maybe there's a better way to write this test so the failure message is a little more informative. The test fails. Before we worry about fixing the code, is there a way to make the failure message more informative? I find the current test failure message a little hard to understand. By the way, after a year and a half of Dvorak, I'm finally like 80% of my former typing speed. I'm no longer constantly making typos. Only I don't know. Okay, anyway. This doesn't look different to me. Oh, I see. But that seems like a lot of, I don't like that for some reason. I don't like that for some reason. Let's see what it does with that. No, I'll just live with it the way it is. Okay, so let's see what the difference is. Okay, so this is what we got back. Run, rabbit, jump fast. Oh, the difference is that the it's giving us back the stemmed version, not the unstemmed version. But this is like way too much code to have ChatGPT write at once. ChatGPT is good for writing a small amount of code, but like it's not capable of writing this much code. So let's break this problem down a little bit and approach it a little bit differently. Let's make it, what we want. Here's the way we could break this down a little bit. When we have a search term, no. When we have an index, return the word and the words surrounding it. Yeah, so we can say something like, okay, we have to hang on to the original text. And I think we want to say something like this. Indices query dot map index. Oops. Context text index. I'm not super happy with the name context. Not that I want to spend a bunch of time worrying about that right now, but like, okay, what should the method be called when we give it an index of 3, which is jumps? This method gives us this chunk. What is that
Extract,
called?
excerpt, something.
Sorry, say it again, Josh.
In my head, I've got like extract or excerpt or kind of
Okay.
few words that are ringing in my head there.
Yeah, and I generally go for a declarative style. So I kind of like excerpt because this is an excerpt. It also could be called just a search result. But excerpt is maybe more descriptive. Yeah, let's call it that. Okay. Okay, excerpt, text and index. Well, I guess we don't need to pass text. We already have that. Okay. And we want to say return the word found in text plus the 2 words preceding and following that word. Okay. So I put that comment in there as a hint to ChatGPT. And I'm going to say, write the code to make this test pass. Hey, Bishoy. And I have higher hopes that we're going to get something closer now. Okay. And I'm just going to copy paste this and see what happens. That's my general approach with what I get from ChatGPT. I don't try to scrutinize what I get. I just give it a whirl and then I scrutinize it, because if it doesn't even work, no point in scrutinizing it. Okay, some mistake was made. Oh yeah, I put the do on the wrong side. There we go. It still doesn't work. Let's see why. Running rabbit jumps fast and run rabbit jump fast, and it's still giving the stemmed version. Ah, I see. Okay. No, we don't want the excerpt to show the stemmed version. We want an excerpt. Such a hard word to spell. From the original text. If you want to use the original text for the context, you can make a few adjustments. No, ChatGPT, you can make a few adjustments because you were the one who got it wrong. Okay. No, it's not called original text. It's just called text. Okay. This is like, it doesn't seem like this should be this hard. Maybe let's just do this ourselves, because that's also kind of my approach. Like sometimes I let ChatGPT take a swing at something. A lot of times it gets it right, but if it doesn't get it right within just a couple of tries, I say, okay, I'm not gonna like keep wasting time with this. I'm just gonna do it myself. Okay, so the first thing let's do is let's grab the word at the index. So how do we do that? So if we want to get like the second word, split. Wait, can we just do that split? Yeah, that split, and then do like one. Yeah, that's how we do that. Let's actually ask this. Okay. Let's say I have the text. Jason is the world's best programmer. And I want to give the index 1 and have it return Jason is the. How can I do that? Okay, maybe this isn't as simple as I hoped. So I feel like what we actually need is we need like this little job of extracting an excerpt seems sufficiently non-trivial that we need, or we could benefit from, a whole class to do that job. Otherwise, we're going to muddy the waters and mix in all this other stuff to the passage class. So let's do that. I'm just going to blow away. Well, I'll do a git stash and everything we have right now. Okay. And I'm going to say this. Okay, so I don't want to do all the excerpt business in the passage class. Maybe we have a class called excerpt. Okay, new approach. I want to have a class called excerpt. Help me write tests for it. Sorry, I need an example here. Okay. One test case should be that if the excerpt is either the well was very deep and wait, or she fell very slowly and the index is 0, 1, 2, 2, the return value is either the well was very, because it should be hard-coded to return the 2 words preceding and following the word at the index. Okay, let's see what it comes up with for that. Okay, it wrote even more tests than I asked for, but maybe that's fine. Okay, excerpt. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Excerpt spec. Actually, spec excerpt. Spec. Okay. Of course, it fails because there's no file called excerpt, so let's fix that. Okay, wrong number of arguments because it's supposed to take text as an initializer. Okay, undefined method around index for excerpt. Okay. Okay, now it's saying expected empty string and got nil. All right, so I'm going to tell ChatGPT, here's my test. Here's my code. Here are a couple of my test failures. And I'll just see what it does with that information. Quite often the result I get back is some code that I could use to make some of these tests pass. Okay. And let's see what happens. Okay. We only get one failure now. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT we get this failure. Okay, let's see what happens now. Not surprisingly, it still fails. Okay. So from my experience, once this starts happening, ChatGPT usually doesn't recover. So we have to take the baton back from ChatGPT and use our own brains now instead of outsourcing our thinking to ChatGPT. So let's start to think about this. First, let's just familiarize ourselves with these test cases. Returns the word at the index along with 2 words before and 2 words after. Okay. Returns only available words when the index is near the end. It seems like this test is the only one that's failing, because if we comment this out real quick, all the tests pass. So let's take a closer look at this. Index 12, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The index isn't near the end. It's past the end. This shouldn't be 12, I think. This should be 10, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So, you know, ChatGPT wasn't going to figure out its mistake with that test. That took us to figure that out. Okay, so now everything passes. I think this code is pretty hard to understand, but at least now everything passes. So let's commit this. Then we can refactor. Okay. Add excerpt. Okay. Now let's open up excerpt again, and maybe we can begin to refactor. So first of all, I'm not sure I'm crazy about the name around index. Maybe it's fine though. Anybody have any opinion on that? Does that seem okay, or?
Yeah, that explains it, you know, makes
Yeah.
it clear, right? So yeah.
Okay. One thing is we have this magic number 2. Seems like that should be in a constant, so it's explained what it is, and it's made clear that it's an arbitrary number. Okay, so maybe we should say, I don't know what we call this index, surrounding word count. We'll start with that. Maybe we can think of a better name later. Okay. So now it's a little bit more clear what that 2 is all about. Okay, fix magic number. When there's just an arbitrary number like that, mysterious, they call it a magic number. Okay. Okay, what's this guard clause here? Return empty string if index is less than 0 or if index is greater than words.length. So if the index is invalid, we could say, then we bail. Okay, I'm gonna leave that for now. Start index equals, oh, I see. Well, this can just be changed to a method. I guess we need index. Okay, let's see if everything still works. It does. Okay, end index, that can be changed to a method also. Oops. Okay. Okay, and each excerpt is just one excerpt. We can put the index into the initializer. So now we don't need to do this. We can do that. And now we don't need to pass the index. Because it feels a little weird to have to say start index, index. Okay, and of course, now that we change the initializer, we'll have to change the tests. So we'll change this to excerpt.new text 2. Excerpt.new text 0. Maybe I should have had ChatGPT do this for me. Okay, let's see how this performs. Not surprisingly, I made a mistake somewhere. Okay, well, usually when this happens, I don't try to figure out what's wrong. I just revert to the last good state.
I don't think you're calling the round index method in the test. It's returning the class.
Oh, good point. Okay, I'll give that a try before I bail. Okay,
That probably makes more
around-
sense as like a value or something now rather than.
Yeah. Oops. Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, and maybe we'll rename around index, but I want to commit what I have first. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, and I'm actually going to change this slightly. I'm going to say, whoops. Return empty string unless index valid. Okay, and obviously we're going to have to flip this. Index greater than equal to 0 and index is less than words.length. Okay, that apparently still works. Words from start index to end index. Okay. Start index and end index. I'm not sure if I like that, but I don't know if I can come up with something better. Okay. Okay, and the whole test suite still passes, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm happy enough with this. Actually, sorry, around index. Yeah, okay. Sorry, let's commit this. Excerpt. Yeah, I think value is what you suggested, Josh. I think I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Now I am happy with everything. Finally, we can bring back our stashed changes. And these tests will fail. But now we can change search. So we do excerpt.new text and index. Oh, we have to include it. Okay, and something's wrong here, but let's see what. Oh, we're returning an excerpt. We want the excerpt's value. Wow. Okay. Now notice how we took something that was kind of hard, like getting this excerpt logic. We said, okay, wait a second, this is too hard. And we went and did it as a separate piece of work, creating that excerpt class. And because we did that totally separate and isolated from this, it got a lot easier. And then once that was done, it was like trivially easy just to bring that back into here. And now it seems to work. Okay. So let's review what we just did. Okay, we made it so the passage search returns not just indices, but an excerpt. Make it so a passage search returns not just indices, but an excerpt. Okay, now we can do the really gratifying part, which is, I think we can maybe hook this up to the text of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and make it work. Okay, so I'm going to say cat star. I'm outputting all of our code. Oh, we don't want to do that. We want to do find star.rb, find all of our Ruby files, and cat all those. That doesn't work. How do I cat all the Ruby files in my project? Oh, I think I know what I want. Xargs cat. There we go. Okay, so I want to show ChatGPT all the code we have right now. And then I want to say, help me write a program that can use the passage class to search a file called alice.txt. Help me write a command line Ruby program, I'll say. And I'm so happy that it accepted all that input. Sometimes you paste it and it's too much. Okay, and I will be surprised if we do this and it actually works, but we'll give it a whirl. Okay, Ruby search.rb. Somebody give me a word that might be in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And it can't be
Cheshire
Alice.
Cat.
Sorry, what's that, Sanjit?
Cheshire Cat.
Oh, Cheshire Cat, yeah. Okay, we'll just do Cheshire. Cheshire, okay. No matches found. Bullshit. Cheshire. It might be case sensitive. Okay. I see the word began. I'm going to search for that. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Oh, wait, do I even have to? Oh, okay, I see. Okay, I'm just going to search for the. That's apparently going to be pretty slow. Oh, but it works. Okay, I'll do Cheshire Capital. Oh, wow. This is pretty neat. And let's actually, okay. Excerpt. Let's make the surrounding word count a little bigger. How does it look when it's 3? Okay. So we can imagine some of the directions we might want to take this in next. So it can show us these search results, but it doesn't show us where we can find this stuff. Like, what if I want to go in this, you know, what like page is it on, or what line is it on of the file or something like that. Okay, but I'm going to search some more just for fun. Okay, I see the word appeared. Oh, I'm going to search for appear. Okay, yeah, notice how we can search for appear and we see appeared and appearing. Okay. When I see the word prominently, what if I search for prominent? Oh, interesting. Must not know how to handle that one. Well, what if I search for appeared? Okay, great. That's what I was hoping to see. When we search for appeared, we get a result that has only appear in it, proving that appeared gets stemmed to appear. Does it have jump, just out of curiosity? Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's pretty cool to see this. It's, you know, the actual thing that we were shooting for since the beginning. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we'll open it up for a little bit of discussion. I don't know what we might want to talk about, but maybe we want to talk about some stuff. I don't know, any thoughts, anybody?
What, you planning to continue with this, or on the theme of using AI tools for programming? Is that okay? Because
Oh, no, that's
Mm.
no, sorry, Sanjit. That's not the lesson I'm necessarily trying to convey. That's just how I live now. This is just how I
Okay.
program. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was referring to subsequent session. Oh, you're gonna mute. Can't hear you.
Oh no.
Yes, you're back. You're back.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay.
Yeah. So for subsequent sessions, maybe I was going to suggest how we can use ChatGPT like tools when we are at the beginning stage of learning a language, maybe like Ruby or
Oh,
Rails,
yeah.
that sort of thing, but you're just suggesting.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I've done that myself
Mm.
with Python. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that could be good. Yeah. Okay.
By the way, your email was spot on. There was no mistake there. Because
Which
I,
email?
by habit, stuck to the, our original time of 2 p.m. You see? Oh, you got mute again.
Oh, my scheduling email, you mean?
Yeah. It show, if you started at 1 p.m. today, that's what it said as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
but
yeah.
I, out of habit, joined at 2 p.m., which is the
Oh, I
local
see.
time.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. But I
Um,
think everything will be restored next week, isn't it? Once your clock also moves. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to end the session. I'm interested in having, I want to talk to you guys some more about some stuff maybe. But I want to end the session now. I don't know of any other way to do that than just to hit end and it kills the whole call. But I'm going to end the call and I'm going to come back. So if anybody wants to hang out and talk a bit more, just rejoin the Zoom. But I'm going to end the presentation in the YouTube video right here. So thank you, YouTube video. Thank you, YouTube viewers, for watching this video. I am your eloquent host, Jason, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.